So as many of you know, I'm trying to do as many videos before the 23rd. Things are about to change drastically for me with my mouth, and I'm worried about that. But other than that, let's go ahead and do some question and answers. This is the first stack of 20 questions right here. And this is going to be the only stack because we just did relationship question and answers tonight. I've got to get a workout in. I still got some house chores to do. My night is far from over. What is the most beautiful thing in nature? I think that being out on a nice spring day when it's not too cool, not too warm, and going like the trail, and you have to be careful for ticks. So just saying right now. But I would say probably just taking a nice walk and enjoying the scenery around, and that would be nice to have that kind of time. What is your favorite 3-word sentence? Never give up. If you had to live a week without the internet, what would you do to keep yourself busy? I would read, I would do some adult coloring, and maybe not have as many headaches. Just saying. What was the most awesome excuse you ever made? Awesome excuse. When I was out on date number 4, and we both were at that point where we realized we went to the bathroom and we came back to the table, that it was just not where we wanted it to go at all. I remember going, I've got to get home. I got to check on my grandparents. I've just got to do that. And he was like going, yeah, my dad's sick too, and I got to get out of here. We were both making excuses, so it was kind of funny, but yet cute. What product do you think the world could go without? There's sometimes I think we could be okay without cell phones, especially when they're a bearer of bad news, it seems like, but cell phones sometimes. Who's the most annoying celebrity according to you? I don't like to think of anyone as annoying. I like to think of them as, there's some people that I would probably get along with in real life and some people I wouldn't. To me, I don't see the fascination in the Kardashians. I just don't. That whole group of them, I just don't find entertaining at all, and I guess they would be the most annoying celebrities. What fun activity from your childhood has been completely ruined for kids today? You know, we used to not text, I'll get it right in a minute. We used to pass notes in class, and we would get into trouble for writing the old hand-fashioned notes. I bet they don't do that today. And, you know, the teachers would take it. Sometimes they would read the note, in front of the class just to prove their point not to pass notes. What if you were offered the opportunity to go into space? Wouldn't take it. I don't like space that much. I don't like being off the ground. No, thank you. Ain't happening. What is the biggest change you want to make in your life? I want to adopt. I want to be a mom. And love is just not in the cards for me. And it's tough for me to say that. It's tough for me to accept that, especially when I always say never give up and miracles happen every day, and think the best, be positive for other people, but yet for myself, I've been hurt, I've been burned, and I don't know if right now I can honestly say, unless somebody has a cast iron skillet at hand, it's not going to happen, and I'm just going to be better off adopting. What do you consider to be the highlight of your life? Oh, goodness. In life, I think we experience different things at different times. And there was a time when I didn't like playing classical music at all. But my piano teacher kept wanting me to play it so I could go to Eastern and do a, what do they call that, a test or something. Anyway, we had to audition for first, second, or third place. I didn't win the first place, but I got, it wasn't a great big, I don't even remember what I got in it, but it was just the accomplishment that I worked my tail off to go over there to play, and I didn't mess up that bad. I can remember messing up a couple parts, but it was a learning experience. And for me, that learning experience made me want to grow more, but not in classical music, in country music. And that was the big turn for me. I was like, you know what? This is a great high point because I'm learning from my mistake, so to speak, because I could see where my passion lied. It wasn't in classical music, it was in country music. And that's what changed me from doing classical to country. What responsibility would you gladly give up, and what would you not give up? I'm a control freak. For me to give up any responsibility is hard. But if I would have to give up a responsibility, cleaning the bathroom, I would gladly give that up. Yes. And what would I not give up? I kind of enjoy the spring summer season here where we get out with a lawnmower, and me, myself, and I don't believe in riding the rider. I'm going to push that mower. And I just haven't had a whole lot of time right now, it seems like. But I love doing that, and I hope that I get more of that coming up. What's the most bizarre chewing gum flavor you can come up with? Anything to do with pickles. Even though I love pickles, that would be a bizarre chewing gum flavor. Just saying. What if someone wrote a story about your life? Would you be considered a hero or a villain in your own story? If someone wrote a story about my life, it'd be a page turner, A. B, there's times when we are our own worst villain, that we believe the lies, we believe the rumors and stuff about ourselves when we shouldn't, and we don't believe in ourselves. So in my own story, I would be a hero at some point for helping others see the best in themselves or the best in their relationships. But in my own self, I'm my own worst enemy because of fear, because I always think, what if this doesn't go right? What if, he tells me to go to hell and he never wants to talk to me again, or he tells me, he finds me repulsive, kind of like off that Married at First Sight, I know. But I always say to myself all the what ifs, and usually by the time I get done with the what ifs, it kind of finishes off any chance at opportunity for a relationship. What do you think is the best feeling in the world? I would say the best feeling in the world is not being rejected, not being told that you don't measure up. And the best feeling in the world is that 3.3 seconds where you feel like that you're on the right path in a relationship, that it's going somewhere before it all goes to hell. What is one thing you don't understand about yourself? Like I said before, sometimes I can be my own worst enemy. And when things are going great, I kind of second guess myself, or I think of reasons that things won't work. And then usually I'll say something dumb or confide in who I think is a friend, and things get twisted, and then that's just too late. Is a wrong act, quote unquote, okay if nobody ever knows about it? No. Because then you have to go to bed, and I hope that if you're committing the wrong act, that you can sleep at night knowing the wrong act that you did. Sometimes those people should not sleep at all. After you make it to the top, where do you go from there? You relax. You just be happy. You be satisfied in what you got and go on. What would your first decision be if you were ever elected president? My first decision? We aren't going to focus on any third world countries. We're going to stop every church, every mission trip, anything. These people want to better another country. Let's better our own before we start looking at our neighbors. Because no doubt, we've got enough problems here we can fix. We don't need to go fixing other people when we got problems. What items would you take to a lonely island if you could only take 4 things? First and foremost, why am I going to a lonely island? Because A, I can't swim. B, I don't want to be on a lonely island. There's nobody to talk to. No TV to watch. No internet to do. No. And what 4 things would I take over there? Well, honey, you better have a big suitcase, because if I'm going to a lonely island, I ain't just taking 4 things. I would probably take a lot of my DVDs, my DVD player, of course, so that's all one. Two would be a lot of my books. Three would be my coloring pens and pencils and markers and all my coloring books. And four would be my clothing. Why did you choose Emotional Girl as your music on Facebook? That's a good question. Sometimes I laugh, sometimes I cry, sometimes I do both, and I don't know why. I got a passionate heart, and that's just the way things are. Yeah, you and me could give it a whirl, but I'm warning you, boy, I'm an emotional girl. Now you tell me, why did I choose that song? What's the funniest thing you did because you were bored? You know, when you're bored and you don't understand why things work out the way they do. That's what's really started my YouTube channel. I'll be honest. I was bored, and I was trying to do it as a reach out and be like, reach out and grab someone. And when you don't, and he lived in Boston, North Carolina, I lived here. So the only way that I really had to talk to him was through YouTube. I felt like, oh, he's watching every video. He's watching what I say. I'm making a difference. He's going to come from North Carolina and come here, you know. I gave a lot of hope to that relationship. That never happened, but I gave a lot of hope. Anyway, I guess that was because I was bored, was this YouTube channel. Weirdest thing you ever did as a child? Well, you know, back in our day, we had glue. I want to say it was preschool, and it was in a little jar, and we would eat glue. Well, I wouldn't, but I would see some of my friends eat it. Me, I was more of a, I would, why would anybody eat this? But my hands would have glue all over it. But that's what I would do. Most noteworthy talent is, it depends on noteworthy talent. I don't call myself the best singer in the world, but I enjoy singing. I don't call myself the best piano player in the world, but I enjoy playing. Some people would say my tongue is so long that it touches the tip of my nose. I can't do it now because the camera's on. And I made the mistake of looking over here. But one dentist that I went to as a pediatric dentist, he once told me, he goes, honey, your tongue is so long, your boyfriend and your husband are going to be so blessed to have you as a wife. And at the time, I was young, dumb, and stupid, and I didn't know what she was talking about. But now that I'm old enough to know better, I kind of know. Anyway, what was the first thing you purchased from your first paycheck? I would say my first car payment. I had a 1988 Oldsmobile Forenza. And the car payment on that was so reasonable. I want to say it was about, $88. But back then, in the 90s, late 90s, it'd be late 90s, I was like going, that's expensive. And of course, you didn't make that much as a kid, so it did take, most of your money. What's the most chilling story you ever heard? Well, I would say that varies from the Scott Peterson, Lacey Peterson story to where he already picked out the next chick, was ready to get rid of Lacey and have a wonderful Miss Thing over here. And then that Michael Peterson story, which is ironic. And then, of course, the Lacey story with the little girl that she said she didn't kill, but then they found her dead. So sad. What can you do that no one else can? Again, the tongue thing. Usually I can do that, but I don't want to tempt fate tonight, so let's not talk about that either. What is it that left you completely speechless? I don't have my glasses on, so bear with me. Completely speechless. I would say when you have a death in your family and it's very close to your heart, that leaves you completely speechless and you don't really know what to do next, and you have that lost feeling that sometimes never goes away, and you want to tell, your loved one about what went on and how happy you were or how sad you are, and you realize that graves don't talk back and it's too late. How did you get your weirdest scar? I've got a lot of weird scars. I used to have my ear pierced, and then I got an infection, so that got taken out. And then I tried it again, and it worked for a while, so much so that I went and had another earring pierced on both sides. So I had 2 here and 2 here. Then after that, I had 3 here, 3 here. But then they all grew back in because I decided that earrings wasn't worth it, and gave up on my pierced ears. I also have a scar that looks like a little zipper here on my thigh. My Uncle Tom had passed away with melanoma skin cancer, and I had a scab on my leg, and they shot the knee on this side and this side, and they went in while I was still very much awake, and I watched Dr. Spaniel dig the mole out, and it had little leaders to it. It was disgusting. But that was another thing that I had done. I don't think I have any scars on my feet, but I probably should have because I have ingrown toenails, which are terrible. But it's on my big toes. The little ones, they don't have any ingrowns, but my big toes do. This over here is my shoulder that I lost 20% of thanks to Walmart. And it's got a groovy little scar. But I don't think I have any other scars to speak of yet. Knocking on wood. What object have you been searching for years but have no luck? I would have to say I don't have anything that I've lost that I have personally. Now, I'm sure that there's other items that my mom had a class ring and she's never been able to find it, and it's been lost for years. But me personally, I've been blessed to have everything that I've always had, except for my glasses. I lose those all the time, just saying. And then I have a hard time finding them. What character traits do you share with your favorite animal? I love tigers. And I just love them for their coloring, and I love them for their presence, that they are just so massive, and they make you feel like, you know what, take me on and you'll be wiped out. I kind of like that, so we'll go with those. What's the most ridiculous thing that you've caught yourself doing in autopilot mode? Dishes. I will be standing there. We don't have a dishwasher, and I like doing the dishes anyway, but I will be standing there just lost in soap while I'm washing the dishes, and it's just like, oh, I'm still doing the dishes. But anyway, yeah. What's a spectacular or great way to die? I would say in your sleep. Hopefully no pain, just gone. If you could invent basically anything, what would it be? If I could invent basically anything, what would it be? That we all have no dental problems and not have to deal with a dentist. That's what it would be. What important life lesson would you like to pass on to your children and someday your grandkids? It's only going to be one child. I can tell you that right now. I have decided that I only want to adopt one child. At my age, I'm going to be 42. And I know Hoda, my idol, adopted 2 children, but I've decided that with my polycystic ovarian syndrome and me getting older, and Lord knows what that's going to hold for me, and I'm not a rich person by any means. I'm rich in the heart, but not in the bank account. I will just be lucky enough to adopt one child, and I don't care if it's a boy or girl as long as it's healthy. Have you ever cheated on a man? No. I once talked to another guy while I was talking to one, but I never cheated. Do you find it hard to say I'm sorry? There's sometimes that I'm very prideful, and that way I'm like Elizabeth Bennet from Unleashing Mr. Darcy. Yes. But there are times you do have to swallow that pride and go, I'm sorry. And I won't lie. I would love to say that I'm sorry right now, but I know that I have to bite my tongue on a lot of situations. So I'm just biting my tongue because, it is what it is. How do you handle arguments? I've never been one to be an argumentative person. And I have seen a lot of arguments with my family, my mom and my biological dad, before they divorced, and it got to the point that it was not good. Not anything good. And it was abusive, and not mentally or not physically. So, well, there was that one time, but there was a lot of words flown, and it's a chilling moment, but I can remember one of the last times that my dad and my mom was in the same room and I was in the same room, and he just glared at me. It was this icy cold glare that you could just, it was chilling. And he was just like, he either said, I wish you were dead, or you never happened, or why didn't you go away to college? Something like that. And I don't know what caused that, but let me tell you, you don't want that situation from your father. How do you balance career and personal life? Right now, it's just my grandpa and me, and it's not so, he doesn't need the medication that my grandma needed, or much attention, because even though he's older than my grandma, he's more with it, and he keeps himself regulated on his cholesterol pills and his heart pills, so he does really well. Me, on the other hand, I'm lucky to get moving and get stuff done, and I'm not on any medication yet. Not saying that I won't be in the future, but the future is uncertain, as it is for all of us. What is something you are certain you'll never experience? Oh boy. I had a conversation with my mom a few minutes ago. I told her, I'm so frustrated that I'm selling the wedding gown that was given to me as a gift. And there's a tag still on that gown, and you can't take it back because it was on the clearance rack and it was from far, far away. But the tag on the gown says that the gown is worth $125 or $150, one of the two. But anyway, I wore it one time for pictures. One time. I will have no use for that wedding gown because the man I love currently hates my guts and probably wants me to die. So, that's why I'm trying to sell that wedding gown. So I can move on, just focus on being an adoptive mom and be happy with that. Does love equal to sex? No. I think that love is something that you feel. It's an emotion that grabs you, that makes you see the bigger picture, and you're like going, you know what? I don't have to have sex. You have to love the person for themselves first before you even think about getting physical. Then you have to think about, chemistry being off the charts and not, again, sexual. You have to be compatible to get to that part. And it's just, I don't know. I believe in marriage before sex. Period. Do you think that you are old-fashioned? I just answered that. Yes. Love with heartbreak or no love at all? I would say that love with heartbreak has been torture. And sometimes love with no love at all might be better off. And just to adopt. Just to cut out all the bullshit. Because it's like by the time that you get to the point of being like, you know what, I may want to try this again, then something either happens that you don't want it to happen, or I don't know. Love isn't for everybody, and I guess it's just not for me, period. Which one do you prefer, trust or love? Why and why not? Love is great, but to be in love, you have to be able to trust first. So I would say that while, it sounds great to be in love, you can't go on what sounds great. You have to be able to trust that person before you can be in love with that person. I kind of answered this one earlier. How many piercings do you have? And how many have you had in the past? We did that. Do you always smile while taking photos? I try to. I don't know if that's going to happen so much in the future, but yes, I do try to smile. What's the first thing you instantly notice about people? Um, of course, their clothing, but I try not to judge a book by its cover, but I also try to see their mannerisms. By that I mean, you know, are they polite? Are they, especially if I'm on a well, I talk like it's in the present future and it's not going to happen again, but if I was to go on a date, I like to see if the guy pulls the chair out so I can sit down, opens the doors, open the car door, care about me to walk me to the car. If not a kiss goodnight, a kiss on the forehead. I know I read too many Harlequin novels, but that's just me. Are you always impatient? I would say that there's times, yes, I'm not patient, but there's times when I am. So, no, I'm not always. Do you dance and sing while driving or riding in a car? When I was younger, I used to dance and sing while I was riding in a car. Now, if I'm by myself, yeah, I may sing, but I won't dance in the car. If it was your last day to be alive, what money would you give it to charity? I would try to give all my money to charity if I knew it was my last day to be alive. And it would be half to polycystic ovarian syndrome so they could find a cure. And the other half would be to the Central Illinois Sheltie Rescue because Kobe means so much to me. Have you ever laughed at the wrong moment? Oh, I'm sure I have, but don't ask me to recall it. Is money the real source of happiness, and what makes you happy? Money is the source to pay bills. I never look at money to be the source of happiness. What makes me happy is knowing when my bills are paid. Are you always nice to people, and do you expect something in return? Yes, I'm always nice to people. Do I expect something in return? No. Would you prefer to be hurt by someone you love most or someone you trust most? To me, that goes hand in hand. And if you love someone, you trust them. So therefore, that question kind of cancels itself out because if you love them, you trust them. So therefore, it's a double entendre. Remember the last time when you were furious. What made you angry, and did you feel different afterwards? Oh, good gravy. I am not the kind to hold grudges, but I am the kind to, I'm the bombshell for a reason. It's not just for licks. My temper, when I get furious, it's kind of comical. And what made me that angry, I honestly can't tell you because it's like the stupidest little thing can set me off, and then after a while I'll laugh at it usually and move on. Think ahead. What does 2020 look like? 2020 looks like me being an adoptive mom, and we're going to be happy. We're going to be fine. We don't need anybody but each other. You have an upbeat personality. Does it take a lot to make you angry? And do you inform the person that you are angry? I would say thank you for the compliment. Sometimes, but there's also sometimes when I'm a short fuse. And if you tell me I used to jump at the slightest thing, but I've learned over the years it's not worth it. And now I'm so calm and subdued, and I'm not even on Valium, that it's like, I'm good. Just go on your way. Leave me alone. If you're going to mess with my heart, then I'm good. What makes you laugh the most? Sometimes it can be an old joke. Sometimes it can be something funny my nieces have done. Sometimes it can be just something off the wall on TV or in a book. But I've learned life lives in the smallest of moments. What does a successful relationship look like to you? The definition of a successful relationship looks like my grandparents. 72 years of marriage and never quit, never back down, and they were always there for each other. Good times and bad, sickness and in health, they were there. And that's a successful marriage and a relationship. If you had to be described in 5 words, what would they be? 5 words. Honest, sincere, loyal, dedicated, friendly, upbeat. I don't know. I don't like to talk about myself that much. What have you learned from your past relationship? We'll go with number 4 because that's technically the past relationship. I would say with him, he wasn't over his ex. And we sat there and we compared notes, and he was not really wanting to be with me and wanting to find fault in everything that I said or done. And it was clear to me that it was a mistake. And I think that's why we both went to the restroom before the date ended. And it was just a mistake. What is the most important thing that guys should understand about the girl? And it seems to you they do not understand. That maybe sometimes their past history has got them scared to talk to you, has got them fearful to talk to you, has got them panicked and afraid to talk to you. Maybe you don't know everything about them that you think you do just because you can do Google. And maybe some things aren't on Google. Another thing I would say is don't judge a book by its cover. Learn the inside before you judge on the outside. And don't believe everything that you hear. What's one thing people would never know about you just by looking at you? I have been told, I don't know you have a YouTube channel. What's on it? What do you do? So probably that I have a YouTube channel. We're going to go with that one. What do you like to do to have fun? I don't think that Mattoon has miniature golf anymore, but I love miniature golf. I also love bowling. Not that I'm a good bowler, because I once bowled backwards. You could ask my cousin Tommy. I almost took his head off. Just saying. But, yeah. I just like to do fun sports that I'm not the best at, but I can try my best to be making everybody laugh, and be like, oh, that was Donna that tried to kill us with the ball. Yeah. Should people care more about doing the right thing or doing things right? I think both. Why do we have to choose? That's just something that should be ingrained in our brain. Do the right thing and do it right. To what extent do you shape your own destiny, and how much is down to fate? I think, God leads our paths. I won't lie there. However, we make our decisions to go down those paths. Yes, those decisions are formed from God. However, we make the ultimate decision. Do we pick up the phone and call somebody? Do we pick up the phone and text somebody? Do we send them an instant message? Do we call them? Or better yet, do we face them at the door? Just saying. Does observation alter an event? We all can see things with our own eyes, okay? But here's my comment on that. Just by glancing at something on the outside, it may not be what's on the inside. And there's no way for you to know unless you open your mouth up and talk. So, yes, I think that observation may give us the wrong impression, but if we don't talk things out, then it's worthless. Have you ever made a decision that changed your entire life? If so, what was it? When I got off the dating channels and I made the decision, okay, look, love is not for me. It's not going to work the way that I hope and I plan, and I am a planner and I am a control freak, so therefore, if it's not going to work out, how am I going to get that kid that I want? How am I going to be that mom? So I quit the dating scene and I was like, I'm going to adopt. I'm going to do it on my own. I have been hurt. I have been burned. I have had abuse in my past. I have had a lot of stuff that I put up with that most women would probably break at the first sign. So therefore, I'm putting faith in myself and my abilities and going, you know what? I'll do it on my own. Thank you. Do you enjoy being out in nature? When I have time, mowing is pretty much the only extent I get. Yes, I enjoy nature. What time of day do you feel most energetic, and what do you usually do in those moments? I get on my bike and I ride it, which I'm about ready to do. And then usually it's at about nighttime, midnight to 1. So we're getting there. I wanted to do a side note about nature since there's so many questions about nature. Today I got off work, and many of you might remember this, that we had a raccoon in the backyard, and I took the broom to the raccoon to try to move him on, and he grabbed a hold of the broom and moved the broom with me, and he didn't attack me, but he was I felt like laughing at me, to be honest. But anyway, long story short, I get off work, Grandpa goes, you just missed something here in the backyard. I said, what did I miss? He goes, raccoon just went around the side of the house. I said, oh. So I went around the side of the house because we have some strays that I would love to find a home for. Just saying. And I go around the house and I see the raccoon. And it sees me. Now, I don't know if it's, the cousin to Rascal the raccoon from last time, but he's got a little attitude about him. He runs back to the front of the house, to the back of the house. And let me tell you, when I saw him, I was scared to death. And I've seen a raccoon. I don't know why I was scared but I was. And Grandpa has me pull up, and he tells him, you go down the drain, young man. I thought to myself, I wonder if he really understands that, or he just thinks, wow, that old man shaking a finger at me. I really don't understand that, But anyway, it was just a weird moment. I felt like sharing. I'm going to shut up now and get downstairs and work out. I love you all. I will see you again tomorrow night. We'll probably sing a couple of songs tomorrow night. Thank you for the relationship questions. Make sure that you keep sending those in. If you have questions, make sure you send those as well. God bless each and every one of you, and good night.